train your mind like a millionaire. Ladies and gentlemen, you were not born to be average. You were born with greatness within you, and the first step to unlocking that greatness, train your mind like a millionaire does. Millionaires don't wait for opportunity, they create it. They don't focus on what they lack, they focus on what they can build. See, wealth isn't just about money, it's about mindset. You've got to believe that you deserve success before it ever shows up. Every day, the world feeds you doubt. You've got to feed your mind faith. Discipline it, shape it, guard it. Like a garden, your mind will grow whatever you plant. So plant bold dreams, not fear. Speak life over your goals. Millionaires talk possibility even when they are surrounded by impossibility. Understand this, success doesn't respond to need, it responds to action. When your mind is fixed on growth, your life begins to follow. Habits change, energy shifts, people notice, doors open. So get hungry, get intentional, and never let your circumstances tell you who you are. Train your mind with purpose, and your life will reflect the vision you've built in silence. You've got what it takes, now go prove it. Here are 5 keynotes for train your mind like a millionaire. 1. Think in possibilities, not limitations. 2. Feed your mind daily with wealth, building thoughts. 3. Surround yourself with growth-oriented people. 4. Practice relentless self-discipline and focus. 5. Visualize success until it becomes reality. 1. My friend, if you truly wish to train your mind like a millionaire, the very first thing you must do is learn to think in terms of possibility, not limitation. That's the gateway to every fortune, the secret door that so many walk past every single day. Because their minds are clouded by doubt, fear, and the belief that they cannot rise beyond their circumstances. Now, let me tell you something you need to hold close. No wealthy man ever built his fortune by thinking about what he couldn't do, not one. It has never happened. A man may be poor in money, poor in background, even poor in education. But if he is rich in belief, if he is rich in vision, then there is no boundary that can hold him back. You see, the average man, when faced with a problem, begins to ask, why me? Why now? How will I ever get through this? But the mind trained for wealth asks, what can I do with this? Where is the opportunity hiding inside this difficulty? How can I use this challenge to grow stronger, wiser, wealthier? That's the difference. That's the shift. You must start by questioning your own thoughts, not the world around you. When something seems impossible, don't run from it. Don't shrink. Stand tall and challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this really impossible? Or is it just something I don't yet know how to do? You have within you something far greater than your past, far bigger than your surroundings, but that power sleeps until it's called. And it is only called forth when you begin to believe, not just wish, but believe, that the impossible can become possible with the right thought and consistent action. When you look at the world through a lens of limitations, you shut down every door before you've even knocked. You tell yourself you're not smart enough, or you don't have the right connections, or you didn't go to the right school, and let me tell you something straight, none of that matters. What matters is how you train your mind to see the world. A millionaire mind doesn't say, I can't afford this. It asks, how can I afford this? A millionaire mind doesn't think, I don't have time. It says, what do I need to stop doing so I can make time for what matters? It's not about having all the answers right now. It's about believing they exist and that you have the power to find them. People will tell you to be realistic, and yes, there's a time for being practical. But don't let realism become a cage. Don't let it rob you of imagination, of faith, of the possibility that what you dream can become the life you live. Everything worthwhile that's ever been created, every invention, every fortune, every great business, was first just an idea. A possibility, something no one else could see except the one bold enough to believe, and let me remind you, belief is not pretending, belief is not fantasy, it's a decision. It's a decision to hold in your mind the vision of what can be until the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. But make no mistake, this kind of thinking requires strength. It requires consistency. You must fight against the tide of the world, against the current of excuses, against the voices that try to convince you that you're crazy for dreaming big. You will be tested, you'll meet obstacles that whisper, turn back, you'll face people who laugh at your ideas, but don't let small minds convince you to abandon big visions. The mind of wealth is not concerned with the opinions of those who have settled. It is consumed only by the possibility of what's next, of what's coming, of what can still be built. Here's the truth. Every limitation you think you have, every I can't, I don't, I'm not, was planted in your mind at some point. Maybe by your family, maybe by your environment, maybe even by yourself after failure or rejection. But just as it was planted, it can be uprooted. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are becoming. Start asking yourself different questions. Instead of saying, "What if I fail?" say, "What if I succeed beyond anything I've imagined?" Instead of wondering, "Why would anyone believe in me?" ask, "Why not me?" That's how a millionaire thinks. That's how a wealthy man sees the world. Not as something fixed, but as something moldable, something ready to be shaped by faith, by effort, by vision. Look around you. The world is filled with stories of men and women who had nothing but belief. And that belief was the seed that turned into wealth, not because they were special, not because they had secrets, but because they dared to see something more. They chose not to settle for what they were told was realistic. They saw possibility where others saw dead ends. I've sat with men who have made fortunes and men who have lost them, and I'll tell you, the only thing that separates the two is what they focus their minds on. One sees problems, the other sees potential. One says, "This is too hard," the other says, "This is my training ground." One waits for permission, the other creates his own opportunities. Now ask yourself, what kind of mind are you training? Every day you get to decide. You get to choose what thoughts you feed, what beliefs you water, what vision you build. And if you train your mind, if you discipline it, focus it, elevate it, you will start to see possibility in places that used to intimidate you. You'll start to act on ideas that once felt too risky. You'll walk into rooms you once felt unworthy of and realize that the only difference between you and the successful man next to you is the way he thinks. This shift, this rewiring of your inner world won't happen overnight, but it will happen with effort, with repetition, with hunger, and when it does, you'll begin to notice something. Opportunities that were always around you suddenly start to appear. Not because they weren't there before, but because you finally trained your mind to see them. The world doesn't give wealth to the man who wishes. It gives it to the man who prepares, who believes, who thinks in terms of what's possible, not just what's been done before. And the moment you adopt this mindset, you separate yourself from the crowd, you rise above the noise, you start to lead your life instead of following whatever path someone else laid out for you. Understand this, limitation only exists when you accept it. When you remove it from your thinking, when you say, "There must be a way," then that way begins to show itself, not instantly, not easily, but steadily, like a sun rising on a new future. So I urge you now, train your mind like the millionaires do. Look at every challenge and say, "This is my chance." Look at every dream and say, "This is mine to bring to life." Let your thoughts be your fuel, your belief your compass, and your vision your roadmap. Think in possibilities, and you'll begin to see wealth not just as something to chase, but something to create. Let your mind be the foundation for the life you're about to build. 2. You cannot build a fortune with a starving mind. Let me repeat that. You cannot build a fortune with a starving mind. Just as the body needs food, water, rest, and exercise to grow strong, your mind needs daily nourishment if it's going to lead you to the life of wealth, success, and purpose that you're meant to live. Now, I want you to listen to me closely, because this may be the turning point in your journey. What you feed your mind becomes your mindset, and your mindset determines your reality. That's not opinion, that's law. Every wealthy man I've studied or sat with has one habit in common. They are careful and intentional about what they allow into their minds. They guard their thoughts the way a king guards his treasure. You see, your mind is constantly under attack. Every day, the world bombards you with negativity, scarcity, fear, and doubt. It comes through the news, through conversations, through the defeated voices of those around you who have settled for far less than they were capable of. And if you're not conscious, if you're not proactive, those voices become your own. But here's the truth most never understand. Your dominant thoughts shape your dominant results. If your mind is filled with worry, you'll attract situations that match it. If you dwell on failure, you'll find reasons to give up. If you talk lack, you'll never have enough. But if you feed your mind with thoughts of abundance, with ideas that build, stretch, and challenge you to rise, your outer world will begin to shift to match the inner world you've cultivated. The man who thinks wealth, who sees it in his mind before it appears in his hands, is the man who eventually holds it, not by chance, not by luck, but by law, because he trained himself to think differently, to think upward, to think like a builder, a producer, a creator, not a victim. You must feed your mind daily, not once, not occasionally, but daily, with thoughts that match the life you want. This is not a one-time thing. It's not something you do when you feel motivated. No, it's something you choose to do, whether you feel like it or not. You must develop the habit of soaking your thoughts in the language of wealth, possibility, power, and resilience. How do you do it? Start your day with intention. Before the world has a chance to pull you in, you pull yourself into focus. Read something that elevates you. Speak words that affirm your strength. Listen to voices that remind you of what's possible. Don't give the world the first word. You speak the first word. You declare how your day will go. You command your thoughts to align with your vision. Your mind is like a sponge. It soaks up whatever it's exposed to the most. So if you soak it in fear, you'll act with hesitation. If you soak it in greatness, you'll move with confidence. This is not magic. This is discipline. This is the habit of wealthy minds. You want to know why the rich get richer. It's not just about what's in their wallets. It's what's in their heads. They think differently. They don't waste time complaining. They don't allow doubt to grow roots. They surround themselves with books, mentors, conversations, environments that push them higher. Every day, they're adding fuel to the fire in their minds. Now, let me ask you, what have you been feeding your mind? Take inventory. What kind of thoughts dominate your inner dialogue? Are you constantly thinking about problems, or are you seeking solutions? Are you listening to voices that build you up, or ones that tear you down? Do you speak about your future with hope or with fear? The mind that is constantly fed with doubt becomes a weak, uncertain mind. But the mind that is consistently fed with ideas of power, purpose, wealth, and vision, that mind becomes unstoppable. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter how long you've lived with small thinking or surrounded yourself with the wrong influences. The moment you begin to feed your mind the right way, you will start to feel a shift. Slowly at first, then rapidly, your thoughts will become clearer, your energy will rise, your confidence will sharpen. You will start seeing things differently, not because the world changed, but because you changed the lens you were using to look at it. And once that shift happens, something incredible begins to occur. Your actions change, your habits change. You start making decisions based on vision, not fear. You stop tolerating things that don't align with your purpose. You begin to walk, talk, and think like a man who knows where he's going, but don't be fooled. This kind of mindset doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from repetition. Just like a muscle, your mind must be trained. You must develop the habit of immersing yourself in wealth, building thoughts morning, noon, and night. Speak success over your life. Speak progress even when you feel stuck. Read the stories of those who came from nothing and rose to greatness. Let their journeys become your fuel. Study wealth, not just the money, but the mind behind the money. Understand how successful people think, model their patterns, replicate their mindset, and here's something important. Don't just learn. Apply. It's not enough to read about wealth if you continue to speak poverty. It's not enough to watch someone else win if you still doubt your own ability. Every idea you absorb, you must practice. You must speak it, write it, live it, breathe it. There will be days when you don't feel like doing it. Days when the old patterns try to creep back in. Days when the outside world feels louder than your inner belief. And it is exactly on those days that you must be most disciplined. That's when the real transformation happens, not when it's easy, but when you choose the higher thought even when everything around you says otherwise. Your mind is either moving you closer to wealth or pulling you further away. There is no neutral. What you feed it will determine the direction. And if you want to build the kind of life that others only dream about, you've got to become more conscious about what you allow to take root in your thinking. Remember, what you think about long enough, strong enough, and consistently enough, you begin to believe, and what you believe, you act on, and what you act on, you manifest. That's the chain reaction. That's how a single thought can lead to a fortune or a failure, so choose wisely. Start small, but start now. Feed your mind like your life depends on it. Because it does. Refuse to go another day letting negative, weak, or mediocre thoughts run the show. Make the decision to flood your inner world with faith, power, clarity, vision, and wealth, building truth. You'll be amazed how quickly your outer world starts to reflect that choice. Thoughts become things, but only when they are fed with intention, watered with repetition, and believed with certainty. And that, my friend, is how you begin to build wealth from the inside out. 3. Let me tell you something most men never understand until it's far too late. Wealth isn't built in a rush of inspiration or a wave of motivation. No, it's built in the quiet hours, in the repeated acts, in the moments when no one is watching. And if there is one quality, one force, one companion you must walk with on the road to wealth, it is discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is not deprivation. It is freedom. It is control. It is self-respect. When you train your mind like a millionaire, you come to realize that discipline isn't just a tool. It becomes your closest ally, your silent partner, the unseen engine behind every success story. Most people think millionaires have some secret formula, some magic access. But here's what they often miss. It's not that the wealthy have more talent, more time, or better luck. It's that they do what others won't do long after others have quit. They keep showing up. They keep doing the work. They honor the commitments they make to themselves, not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but every single day. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your results. It is what turns ideas into reality. Without it, your dreams remain just that, dreams, floating around in your head with no foundation beneath them. But when you apply discipline, real, steady, relentless discipline, those dreams start to take shape in the physical world. Not through magic, but through momentum. Now here's the truth most avoid. Discipline is uncomfortable. It asks something of you. It demands that you rise above your mood, your excuses, your laziness, your habits of comfort. It doesn't care how you feel, it only responds to what you do. That's why so few people ever truly succeed. They want the rewards, but they reject the routine. They want the prize, but not the process. You must reverse that mindset. You must fall in love with the process. You must learn to keep your word to yourself, not just when you're inspired, but especially when you're not. Discipline means doing the right thing even when it's the hard thing. Waking up when your body wants to sleep, saying no when your impulses say yes, working the plan even when you can't yet see the result. When you build a relationship with discipline, you are telling your future self, I will not let you down. I will become the man who can carry the weight of wealth. Because let me tell you, money is heavy, success is heavy, and if your habits are weak, it will crush you. But if you are strong in your disciplines, strong in your focus, in your commitment, in your consistency, then you can handle it. You can sustain it. You can multiply it. Think of the greatest builders, the greatest thinkers, the giants of industry. What separated them wasn't just intelligence or opportunity. It was the habit of showing up. Day after day, task after task, they turned discipline into a lifestyle, into a mindset, into an identity, and because of that, they reaped what the undisciplined will never taste. Discipline isn't just about action, it's also about decision. About eliminating distractions, about saying no to things that steal your time, your energy, your purpose. Every yes must be earned. You cannot afford to waste mental energy on things that do not feed your mission. And you do have a mission. If you're breathing, if you're alive, then you've got a purpose burning deep in your bones. But purpose without discipline is powerless. I've seen talented men fail. I've seen brilliant minds live broke because they lacked one thing, the ability to stay the course. They couldn't stick to a path long enough to see results. They chased every new thing, got distracted by every little wave, never built a structure that could hold their vision. But when you build your days around discipline, everything changes. You wake with intention, you act with clarity, you stop reacting to life and start directing it, and suddenly wealth is no longer some distant wish. It's a byproduct of how you live. Start with the small things. The way you get up in the morning, the way you talk to yourself, the way you organize your time. Those tiny disciplines are not small. They're bricks in the foundation of your future. If you cannot manage the little things, how will you handle the big things? Discipline means setting your standards higher. It means refusing to accept average effort from yourself. It means demanding more, pushing further, going beyond what's expected, not because someone's watching, not because someone's giving you a pat on the back, but because you said you would. And here's the beauty. When discipline becomes your habit, your life starts to feel lighter. Decisions become easier. You stop second guessing, you stop battling yourself, you become aligned, your mind, your habits, your direction all move as one. That is when you become unstoppable. Some days it will feel like you're not moving fast enough. Like all this effort isn't paying off, but let me tell you, discipline always pays, not always immediately, but always inevitably. The seeds you plant today will grow, but only if you water them consistently, patiently, daily. That's the test. Can you keep moving forward when nothing around you looks different yet? That's where most fall off. They confuse silence for failure. They stop just before the results were about to show up. Not you. If you're going to train your mind like a millionaire, you must learn to stay in motion, to build momentum and protect it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. You don't rise by doing what's easy. You rise by doing what's necessary. When the alarm goes off, get up. When the plan says work, work. When the calendar says execute, don't negotiate. Discipline is not a sometimes thing. It is an all-the-time thing. It is a mindset that says, I am responsible for what happens next, and I will not betray my potential for comfort. You may be tired, you may be overwhelmed, but you must remind yourself, nothing is heavier than regret. Nothing weighs more on a man than the knowledge that he had the power to change and didn't, so build this relationship, nurture it. Discipline is not the enemy, it is the doorway. It will never lie to you. It will never cheat you. It will never abandon you. If you walk with it, it will walk with you, and together you will go further than talent, further than luck, further than anything you could imagine. Because at the end of the day, wealth is not about what you wish for. It's about what you work for, what you build, what you're willing to repeat, even when no one is clapping, even when no one is watching. You become a millionaire in your habits long before you ever see the money. You build wealth in your mind long before you hold it in your hands, and that building is done through discipline, brick by brick, moment by moment, day after day. So if you truly want this, if you want the life, the freedom, the impact, then make discipline your friend, not for a week, not for a season, for life, because when discipline leads, success follows. 4. There's a lie the world keeps selling you. It tells you that money is the goal, that chasing it is the mark of ambition, that stacking it is success. But let me tell you the truth, a truth that most men spend their entire lives missing. Money is not the goal. It's the result, it's the shadow, it's the echo of something much greater, and that something, my friend, is value. You don't attract wealth by chasing numbers. You attract wealth by becoming a person of value. That's where the real shift happens. That's where the millionaire mind is forged, not in a desperate scramble for dollars, but in a deep commitment to serve, to solve, to contribute, to create. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with wanting more money, but you must understand what money truly is. It's a mirror. It reflects what you offer to the world. And if you're not offering anything meaningful, anything helpful, anything that improves life for someone else, then money will avoid you. Not because you're cursed, not because you're unlucky, but because you haven't become worthy of it yet. You see, the wealthiest people on earth think differently. They're not obsessed with getting. They're obsessed with giving. With delivering impact, with identifying problems and being the solution. They focus on value, and as a result, money comes to them. Sometimes slowly at first, sometimes in waves, but always inevitably. Train your mind to look for ways to serve, to solve, to elevate. That's where the gold is. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. You don't need a perfect resume, but you do need to solve a real problem for real people. And if you can do that consistently, your value rises, and so does your income. The problem with most people is they think too small. They ask, "What can I get for this hour?" instead of asking, "How much value can I give in this hour?" They're stuck in a transactional mindset, measuring every move by how much it pays today, and in doing so, they trap themselves, because real wealth is not built in the short term. It's built through compound value, through service that scales, through skills that solve bigger and bigger problems. The moment you stop thinking, "How can I make more money?" and start asking, "How can I deliver more value to more people in less time?" that's the moment your whole trajectory changes. You start operating at a higher level. You become magnetic to opportunities. People begin to seek you out, not because you're chasing them, but because you've become valuable. There are no shortcuts to this. There are no hacks. It requires effort. It requires insight. It requires obsession with improvement of your craft, your thinking, your ability to understand people and deliver what they truly need. And once you do, money will become the byproduct, not the pursuit, the natural reward of your alignment with service and excellence. You want to be wealthy, then stop asking, "How can I get paid?" and start asking, "How can I help someone win?" That's the secret. Every dollar you've ever earned came from one thing. your ability to help another human being, and the more people you help, the more money you earn. Simple, unbreakable. The mind of a millionaire doesn't flinch at hard work because it understands the game. It knows that planting seeds of value today brings a harvest tomorrow. It's not looking for the quick buck. It's building a system, a solution, a legacy that continues to give even while it sleeps. That's the mindset that builds empires. Quietly, steadily, with intention, and value doesn't always look like invention or genius. Sometimes it looks like consistency, like showing up on time, like doing what you said you'd do, like giving more than what was expected. It's about the little things, the small touches, the personal commitment to excellence. Those details create value, and value creates income. Now let me ask you, are you valuable? I'm not asking if you're busy. I'm not asking if you're trying hard. I'm asking if what you offer to the world is helping someone, solving something, or creating joy, relief, clarity, or growth in another person's life. Because if it is, then your financial reward is just a matter of time. But if it isn't, then no strategy, no tactic, no get-rich scheme will ever save you. Look around at the people who have made it, not just made money, but made an impact. What do they all have in common? They figured out how to give something that people need. And they gave it consistently, at scale, with excellence. That's not luck. That's not magic. That's value creation, and value begins in the mind. It begins with how you think about your time, your talents, your opportunities. A millionaire doesn't waste time, they invest it. They don't dabble, they master. They don't drift through life hoping something happens. They create things that matter, and because of that, money flows to them. Not once, not in spurts, but over and over again. Now here's what separates the few from the many. Most people quit before they've delivered enough value to matter. They give up too soon. They try once, don't get a result, and retreat. But those who truly win, they keep improving, they keep listening, they keep adjusting, refining, learning. They don't just want to be good, they want to be great, and greatness always gets paid. But you don't start at greatness. You start with a willingness to serve, a hunger to get better, a desire to give more. You study the game, you ask questions, you get around people who know more than you, and you stay humble enough to grow. Because the man who refuses to grow is the man who chooses poverty, not financial poverty, mental poverty, and that kind of poverty leaks into every part of your life. Wealth isn't just about the bank account, it's about who you've become. And who you become is a direct result of what you focus on. If you focus on value, you become valuable. If you focus on money, you become desperate. There's a difference. The first is magnetic. The second is repelling. So how do you shift your focus? Start today. Ask yourself, what problem do I love solving? Who do I love helping? Where can I bring clarity, ease, or joy to someone's life? Then go all in, get obsessed. Learn more than anyone else, care more than anyone else, serve better than anyone else, and watch what happens, because the world is starving for value, for people who actually care, for solutions that work. For products and services that make life easier, smoother, richer. You don't need 1 million followers. You need 10 people you've helped so well they can't stop talking about you. Then they tell 10 more. And those 10 tell 10 more, and suddenly you're not chasing wealth, it's chasing you. This is the essence of a millionaire mind. It's not about hoarding, it's about contribution, expansion, solving bigger problems for bigger rewards. That's the game, and it's played not with tricks, but with purpose. So I ask you again, where's your focus? Are you building something that matters? Are you creating experiences, solutions, value, or are you hoping that money just shows up because you want it badly enough? Hope is not a strategy. Wanting is not working. Focused value creation is. You must train your mind to see through the illusion, to rise above the noise, to stop running after money and instead start building something so good that money runs after you. That is the pivot. That is the awakening. That is the mindset shift that sets you apart. Because once you do that, once you become valuable, there's no ceiling on your success, no limit on your growth, no cap on your potential, and that's when wealth becomes not just a possibility, but a certainty. So if you're serious about building a life of abundance, train your mind to focus on value, not just money, and the money will follow. Every single time. 5. Let me tell you something that most people miss on their journey to success. They think it's all about intellect, about the strategy, the plan, the market, the money, and yes, those things matter. But there's something even more powerful, something invisible yet stronger than any strategy. It's your emotional control. You see, the difference between a man who builds lasting wealth and a man who just dreams about it isn't always knowledge. Often, they read the same books, attend the same seminars, get the same advice, but one of them can remain calm in the storm while the other falls apart. One can make decisions with clarity under pressure. The other panics, hesitates, or reacts without thinking. Emotional control is the separator. It's the quiet force behind the strong mind, and you cannot train your mind like a millionaire until you learn to master your emotions. Now, don't get me wrong, emotions are not your enemy, they are powerful signals, but when those signals take the wheel, when fear or anger or doubt drives your decisions, you veer off course. Success demands composure. It requires you to think even when everything around you is screaming for a reaction. Think about it. How many times have you seen people lose everything, not because of a lack of talent, not because the opportunity wasn't real, but because they couldn't control their response? One emotional outburst, one impulsive move, one ego-driven decision, and poof, the opportunity is gone, and they tell themselves it was bad luck. But deep down, they know the truth. They lost control. The millionaire mind is not cold, it's not robotic, but it is steady, it's measured, it knows when to feel and when to focus. It knows that reacting from emotion is expensive in business, in relationships, in growth. Emotions left unchecked are costly. They cloud judgment, distort reality, and shrink potential. Now, I've sat across tables with men who control fortunes, men who make decisions that ripple across industries, and you know what they all have in common. They don't panic, they don't lash out, they don't drown in doubt, they evaluate, they observe, and they choose their response. That's emotional control, that's power, that's the kind of mind you must build if you truly want to walk the path of wealth. Because make no mistake, this journey isn't smooth. You'll face setbacks, delays, betrayals, criticism. You'll take 2 steps forward and sometimes 3 steps back, and in those moments your emotions will flare. Fear will whisper that it's over. Anger will demand that you fight. Shame will urge you to hide. But the man who controls his emotions, he doesn't get pulled under. He feels the storm, but he doesn't let it steer the ship. Emotional control doesn't mean you bury your feelings. It means you own them, you understand them, you sit with them, but you don't obey them. You give yourself space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you insert wisdom. Strength, discipline. You ever wonder why some people can keep building even after failure? Why they seem unfazed even when the market crashes or the deal falls through? It's not because they're immune to pain. It's because they've learned that emotions are like weather. They come, they go, but the mission, that stays, and they've trained themselves to stay loyal to the mission, not the mood. Now here's where most people slip. They let their feelings become facts. They feel fear, and they believe they're in danger. They feel doubt, and they believe they're not good enough. They feel anger, and they believe someone else must be punished. But a trained mind, one shaped like a millionaire's, knows better. It listens to the feeling, but it doesn't blindly follow. It investigates. It asks, is this real or is this emotion misleading me? You must understand that every big opportunity comes wrapped in uncertainty, and that uncertainty will stir your emotions. It will test you, and that's why emotional control is non-negotiable. You can't think clearly if you're trembling inside. You can't attract solutions if you're radiating chaos. You must anchor yourself, breathe, ground your mind, then choose your next move like a master. Do you think the wealthy never feel fear? Of course they do, but they've learned to walk with it. They don't let it paralyze them. They use it as fuel. They ask, what's the worst that can happen, and how will I prepare for it? That kind of thinking dissolves fear, because fear thrives in ambiguity. But once you shine a light on it, once you face it head on, it loses its grip. And what about anger? Oh, that one's tricky. It feels powerful, feels righteous, but in most cases it's a trap, a clever thief disguised as fire. It makes you say things you regret, burn bridges you may need, ruin opportunities that were just waiting for your patience. Don't let temporary anger destroy permanent rewards. Emotional control is knowing when to bite your tongue, when to walk away, when to let the ego sit down and let wisdom speak. Even excitement, yes, even that needs to be managed, because uncontrolled excitement leads to impulsive decisions, buying too fast, partnering too quickly, committing before calculating. It's not just the negative emotions that can derail you. Sometimes even joy needs direction. The mind must remain clear, always. So how do you build this kind of control? It starts with awareness. You must become the watcher of your mind. Catch the thoughts as they rise. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? Don't judge it. Just observe. The moment you name an emotion, you weaken its hold. Next, practice the pause. When emotions flare, don't react. Breathe. Walk away if you need to, sleep on it. You'd be amazed how many problems solve themselves when you give them space. The trained mind doesn't rush to conclusions. It studies. It responds with purpose, not panic. And then surround yourself with calm. Choose environments and people that reflect the energy you want to keep, because chaos is contagious, but so is calm. You want a millionaire mind, then build a millionaire atmosphere. One that values clarity, patience, and intelligent reaction over drama. Meditation helps, reflection helps, even journaling helps, but more than anything, it's a commitment, a decision to no longer be a puppet of emotion, but the master of it. A decision to own your state even when the world around you is losing theirs. Now, let's be real, you will mess up, you'll get angry, you'll snap, you'll doubt yourself. That's part of the process. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Each time you catch yourself sooner, each time you calm down quicker, each time you respond better, you're winning. You're building mental wealth, and that wealth will serve you far beyond money, because the truth is, money comes and goes, opportunities come and go, but a steady mind, a clear, composed, disciplined mind, that stays. That's the asset, that's the fortress, and when you have that, you can rebuild anything, you can attract more, you can navigate any storm. So here's what I want you to understand. You don't rise to the level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your discipline, and emotional control is the highest discipline. It's what keeps you from self-sabotage. It's what keeps you focused. It's what allows you to stay in the game long enough to win. Control your emotions, and you control your future. Let them control you, and you'll always be chasing what you could have had. That's the truth. That's the challenge. That's the key. So train your mind, steady your soul, and remember this. The man who masters his emotions becomes unstoppable.